Useless agent is on your Facebook laptop or your PC, whatever you call it.
Alright, how you guys doing this morning? Starting a little early today. I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, today's the last day that I always do Monday through Friday, and I just was watching something and I was laughing so hard at it that it honestly made me want to change what I was going to do today. And hang on a second, these lights are killing me. The beauty of Five Below is the only place I can go to anymore where I don't have to spend like $20 on a pair of sunglasses. Alright, so to our morning rituals. Always wake and bake with you and A. I got asked about that before. I got asked, why do you smoke pot on the show? You know, are you trying to be cool or something? And no, it's not to be cool. It's just to point out a fact. It's just to make a point that this is my show. This is what I do. And I couldn't care less what other people think. And so if I want to toke during my show, I'm going to toke during my show. So as I was saying, I was watching something funny. I was watching I'm a big fan of the Seth Meyers late night show, and I was going to title this Late Night Sucks. I wanted to touch upon the point about late night TV, politics. First, let me just go ahead and preface something. Yesterday, I had mentioned it was Dimebag Darrell's anniversary. Now, it was also John Lennon's, and I can't believe that I didn't talk about him. To me, that's like blasphemous. Let's try to remember who John was. You know, John was a soldier of spirit. You know, he was a fighter for the pacifist. You know, he was Gandhi's warrior. You know, he tried non-violent protests to gain, actual change. And he had seen the death and destruction caused by the death of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King. A lot of us know that Martin Luther King was being spied on by the U.S. government, mainly through the FBI. Now, some people don't know that they were also following Lenin, because towards the later 70s and when he started doing the bed-ins and he would just lay in bed all day. It wasn't like a Brian Wilson thing. It was for a way of peaceful protest. And I love how John Lennon had said one of the most important things to me growing up. He had said that he believes that we are a world run by maniacs. And man, I remember that was like the first thing I started writing on my notebooks everywhere, the maniacs who rule the world. And, I think that was probably like my first band idea. I wanted to call it Maniacs Who Rule the World. I wanted to go with the Maniacs, but of course that's a band already. I believe they made Louie Louie. So, getting past that, we love you, John. John will live forever. And so, yeah, let me take a second hit for that. So, to John Lennon. Now, I talked about the importance of understanding history. I talked about the importance of why we can't delete history. My best point being, if we don't have history documented, we won't know what to learn from. Then we just leave ourselves open to repeat the same crap over and over again. And any teacher will always say, "What you learn history because those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it." Now, that's why I do not agree with the idea of completely taking out certain historical events based on their insensitivities. And that's just a fucking joke, because, you know, we learn through struggle, we learn through failure, we learn through, you know, the negative processes of life. So if it's insensitive, it's always going to be insensitive. And that's why you need to learn from it. Because in order for us to be a little bit more enlightened, we need to compare ourselves to something. And the problem is, instead of comparing, we want to just delete and not remember. And it's kind of like repressing a memory. You can only do that for so long until that memory takes hold and then completely controls your very fucking being. You can be consumed by an emotion simply because of a repressed memory. You won't even remember it anymore, but that doesn't mean it's not in the back of your head. You'll dream about it and you'll remember. But so the idea of closing your eyes to history is just a terrible idea. Now, the reason why I put Politics Suck as the title for this was because I can't help but notice that with these late night TV programs, Jimmy Kimmel, I think the biggest offender is probably like Stephen Colbert, who used to be a champion for common sense, and his whole shtick was being a supercharged Bill O'Reilly. I mean, that was the whole joke of it, and that's why we fell in love with Stephen Colbert. I mean, his name is Stephen Colbert. Just like Steven Seagal, his name is Steven Seagal. You know, it's Stephen Colbert. But we allowed Colbert because of the joke. You know, he even said Colbert Report. We didn't even pronounce report correctly, which was why it was so funny. And so having this supercharged Bill O'Reilly there to question the right and question their motives and their procedures and their decision making, that is what Stephen Colbert's bread and butter was. Now he seems like just a shell of who he once was. He kind of bows down to the big wigs, and he doesn't ask any real questions. And I can understand the standpoint of saying, well, he's not on Colbert Report anymore, so that's not his job to ask real questions. I disagree with that. If you're in the entertainment industry, I don't see why asking a real question is so damn hard. If anything, we get a real look at who we're interviewing. So I could never interview somebody and ask softball questions. I just have never been that way. When I interview somebody, sometimes they get a little uncomfortable, and I try to make it as comfortable as possible. But I don't want to ask softball questions. And I try to make that a fact, or I try to make that understood beforehand. I always tell the person that I'm interviewing, hey, these are the questions I'm going to get into. There are no shock moments. There are no, sneak attacks on you, but I will ask this or this. And if that person says I don't want to talk about that, I will say, well, then maybe getting on my show is not a good idea. You know, and that's simply, in my opinion, that's integrity. And if you guys can see it that way too, then great. Then I'm on the right road here. But when you're watching the Jimmy Kimmels, the Bill Maher's, the Stephen Colbert's. Now, Stephen Colbert and Bill Maher don't even like each other. Yet, they're kind of guilty of the same thing. And that's by giving a very small, you know, again, is more, God damn it. Did I just freeze again? Yeah, there we go. So, it's taking substance away and taking quality away for quantity. And, you know, I can understand from another point saying, well, if I ask a wrong question, that guy won't come back for an interview. Who gives a shit? You know how many celebrities there are? And the more famous you get, the more the person will be asked they'll send their agents out and ask, hey, can you interview me? You know? So by keeping integrity and keeping who you are, I think that's a better approach than trying to guess what the fans want. And that is another problem with entertainment in general. It thinks that we know best. And the truth is, when it comes to entertainment, we don't know what we want until we got it, until we see it. So, I just think we're doing a horrible misservice to ourselves by not questioning. And I'm so sick of that argument saying, well, it's entertainment, it's not journalism. Sometimes they're one and the same. They really are, sometimes. And they can be if you decide. So nothing is set in stone. Everything is made of clay. It's how you mold it. Another reason why I put politics suck is because I noticed the fact that Herschel Walker losing the Georgia election to Warnock, which obviously was going to happen. I mean, I was calling that from day one. The people of America, I think, are just tired of these, clown car idiots that Trump keeps throwing out. And so the chairman of the RNC tried to say that we don't pick the cars in the race, the voters pick the cars. So what voters said, hey, let's get the guy that knows how to throw a football to be senator? That wasn't the people. That was your decision. That was an RNC decision. And worse than that, it didn't work. And now you want someone to blame. And so the fact that they're blaming the very people that they depend on is hilarious to me. That shows that you are out of ideas. So the right is now saying that the problem was, for some reason, the older people were not putting in their mail-in votes and not voting early. Why didn't they do that? Well, maybe because a few months ago you were saying that's how we got the election rigged for presidency. You can't spout out all this propaganda and fear-mongering bullshit and then be surprised when people follow your fucking lead. You know, you literally talked yourself into a corner, and now you are pointing at any direction other than inward. And that's the only problem, is inward. You know, the reason why we have mirrors is so we can face inward. And facing inward is sometimes the most important thing to do for self-evolution. I know I spend at least an hour of every day contemplating, who am I? What am I doing here? Should I even be here? And that's simply because I am a person that thirsts for even more curiosities. Like, I'm as curious as they come, but I'm always looking for more things. You know, I always want to find more things to get into and be curious about. So as a kid, it was I was really into the 1700s, and I was really into Revolutionary War. I got older and really fell in love with a lot of the shit that history doesn't say. And then I started getting into French history, understanding, why Napoleon had said history is written by the winners. And what he kind of meant by that was that when you win the fight, you get to say how you won. The other guy's down. He's not going to be able to say anything. So you can go ahead and lie and say that you did a fucking super roundhouse, fucking dope-ass roadhouse kick to the face. And the dude's fucking, like, eyeball fell out. And people are going to have to be like, man, that dude did a wicked fucking roundhouse kick. People are going to fucking believe it. And you also have to remember that old adage from Joseph Goebbels. The bigger the lie and the more repeated, the more people will believe it, and that is propaganda 101. And so you spouted this lie about the mail-in ballots being fraudulent. You spouted all of this crap about how they are, early voting is, suspect. You spouted all this shit, and now you relied on mail-in voting, and it didn't work. So you have only yourselves to blame. Stop blaming your constituents. Stop blaming your citizens. Stop blaming, even each other. One of those idiots actually said that the reason Marjorie Taylor Greene actually said the reason why she didn't, or why Herschel Walker lost, was because she didn't get to campaign for him. This is the same woman that talked about Jewish space lasers. Okay, so when you have a guy talking about vampires and werewolves, Herschel Walker talking about vampires and werewolves because he finally saw the movie Fright Night. Who the hell doesn't see Fright Night until their 40s or 50s? That's crazy. I saw Fright Night when I was like 12. Excuse me. So, and by the way, it's not a stupid movie. It's a pretty sweet movie. Fright Night is a fucking horror classic. And I would know. I was just watching Demons yesterday. And, so, yeah, I just find it hilarious that Marjorie Taylor Greene, the woman talking about Jewish space lasers, wants to be on Team Werewolf and now blames the RNC loss because she didn't get to campaign because she's in the 24th district of Georgia. Now, if you are a fucking constituent of Georgia and your own party doesn't invite you to the big party, you should kind of look inward and wonder what have I done. And I couldn't find anyone more pathetic than, of course, Lindsey Graham. He has no integrity. This is a guy that literally will follow anyone with a paycheck. He did that with Trump. He originally said that he would never support Trump. And then once Trump came in with the paycheck, he fucking lapped down to the, once he started throwing change on the floor, Lindsey Graham just lapped it up. And then after that, he has been nothing but a joke since. I mean, there's nothing. Then he does the campaigning with Herschel Walker. And it was very obvious that after the werewolf and vampire speech, they did not want Herschel talking. So after that, every time you saw Herschel Walker about to talk, Lindsey Graham would say, I just want to say something real quick. He was trying to tell him, shut the fuck up, let me do the talking. Okay? You've already talked yourself into some stupid ass shit. So now we white people have to clean up your mess. And that's how they think. All right? This is honestly how the fucking right thinks. Okay? We're going to put a black puppet up there to say what we want. But when he said something stupid, then it's like, oh shit, we're going to need Operation White Blanket. And the race baiting that they did for this was pathetic. And it was transparent. And It was one of those situations where a white person could say, I'm not racist, I have a black friend. And it was so fucking transparent what they were doing. So, between the propaganda, the race baiting, the Operation White Blanket, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, and the RNC, now you have Fox News literally going against everything that they had when they originally wanted to scare you, thinking that if you mail in your vote, it's going to be stolen by cyber ninjas. That whole Mike Lindell dumbass shit. And so now you have a giant conglomerate, Fox News, finally letting Trump off of the big leash. You know, they're finally giving up on that and starting to say, okay, we're starting to notice people are not actually following Donald Trump. Now, of course, there's the sycophants that are always going to follow Trump. It's just how it works. You know, if the guy pays your bills, and even though he doesn't even fucking pay his own bills, he'll find someone to pay your bills. See, Trump is not rich. Trump is not a billionaire. He's not. I really hope we get a look at these taxes, because then we get an idea of his actual income. And then we can decide. Because, like, he's the only person I've ever seen who is a billionaire that is afraid to show it. Now, billionaires are never afraid to show anything. Have you heard of Trump going into space or anything? No. You know why? Because he can't afford it. So, that is why I labeled this as politics suck. Because, you know, I'll get into the left eventually. But right now, the problem is with the right. Because there's so many problems, inward, outward, and there's so much shit to pick up and analyze that it just becomes that much more intriguing. And I have to give credit where credit's due. The only person that I think is really practicing what they preach is guys like Seth Meyers, who continue to do comedy that's off the fly and not politic baiting, and it's not pathetic humor that's just desperate. And I mean, you can watch these shows and hear the same joke on 4 different networks. I remember last year I made an entire compilation video of like 5 different TV shows that all have to do with politics, and they're all the kind of Weekend Update kind of Onion News kind of joke shows. But all of these shows had the same exact jokes. And so that really shows you that the media is all the same, okay? We have to start relying on more alternative medias, because it's all puppeteering. That's all it is. It's just somebody with a hand up their ass and they're telling you what they want you to be told. You know, that's just how it is. Oh shit, we got another subscriber, so let's throw it up there, right over there. There, it's like that, right? There we go. There you go. Thank you. There it is. All right. Remember, anytime you subscribe, I will always throw you up here. Okay. You know what? That's about my time. So, thank you for spending time with me. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some more shit. On Monday, I'll have a whole new show for you guys. As for now, remember to take care of each other. We love you. If you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, just go ahead and hit us up at uselessagentmusic@gmail.com. If you just want somebody to talk to, we love hearing from you, and we always write back. So, uselessagentmusic@gmail.com. Thank you very much, guys. And as always, I will see you guys on the other side. Take care of each other.
Useless